Welcome to Hormones in Your Health Masterclass. I'm going to keep this pretty brief. This is more like, let's just say like a preview or a commercial for future events. I really would like for people to be able to join us live. I've got a few in attendance here today, and I appreciate everybody who was able to come out. If you weren't able to make it on such short notice, at least you're joining us by the video. If you give us a little thumbs up or like or comment, that really helps more people to be able to see this message, so I appreciate that. If you'd like to be able to attend a future event, just let me know, and I'll make sure you get the invitation. So what we're talking about today with hormones in your health, I want to just say right up front, the best thing I've got going right now is the Metabolomics Spotlight test from Designs for Health. Several of you in the group, right now this video is just being viewed by my closed group on Facebook. Several of people in this group have already done a metabolomics test, so you're familiar with the results. There's 5 different areas that are analyzed. Nutrient deficiencies is one of those. Energy pathways in the body that may be impacted, such as ketogenic energy pathway versus glycolytic pathway. In other words, in layman's terms, are you burning sugar or are you burning fat for fuel? Big part of the Fast Track 28-day program, that's your Fat Adapted Strength Training Program, FAST, FAST for short, is to get you fat adapted, which means to be able to burn more fat for fuel instead of just holding it in storage. We didn't store a bunch of excess body fat just to make us miserable and unhealthy. It's there for a reason. It's there to be an energy source. And if you're having problems like the majority of people using that, or you're having trouble losing weight, we'll say, you're not the problem, your hormones are the problem. That's what's keeping the fat locked in the cells and keep you from being able to use that as energy the way we'd all like to. So that course is designed to help you to be able to change your diet, change your training, and start a supplement regimen that's going to help you to be able to burn fat for fuel the way that we're supposed to. You start losing pounds and inches, looking better, feeling better, and I've had many clients and participants to resolve their health concerns by doing that 28-day course. So take advantage of that. The link is going to be in the comments or wherever you're watching or listening to this. But like I said, that's going to make recommendations for you based on your metabolites. Okay, so what that means is an organic acid. That is like the residue of something that has been metabolized in your body. This is what's left over. This is basically going to give us evidence that's going to point us in the right direction. Do you have a vitamin D deficiency? Are you lacking certain B vitamins like folic acid, for example? I have clients who are gearing up for parenthood, okay, we'll say. You know, folic acid is a huge deal. Like, you've got to have that for baby's brain development. That's just one example of why someone would want to do metabolomics testing to make sure you've got the ideal nutrients, that you don't have deficiencies. Also, it looks at neurotransmitters. So things like serotonin, for example, dopamine, those are your brain chemicals. Those have a huge role in your body composition. How much body fat do you have? How lean you are? How much energy you have? Your mood and mindset? Those are all factors. So today I wanted to talk about hormones in your health. The number one hormone in my mind when it comes to the whole body fat versus muscle mass, body composition, overweight, obesity, all this stuff is insulin. Okay, insulin is a master hormone. Insulin is responsible for driving nutrients into the cells, specifically glucose or carbohydrate, into the muscle cells so that we can use it as a source of energy, which is all well and good when there's glucose around. For most of our history as a species, we have not had glucose available 24/7, especially not to the degree that we have it now. Cheerios for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, pasta for dinner. This is something that's happened within the past 100 years, and specifically within the past 50 years or so. All of these conditions that we're seeing, like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, overweight, obesity, etc., as a result of eating that way, has become more and more prevalent in the past 50 years or so. So, when glucose comes into the body, fat burning stops completely. Insulin's job is to get the glucose out of the bloodstream, pack it away somewhere so that we can go back to burning fat for fuel the way we're supposed to. Now, we're not going to burn our stored body fat unless we get low enough insulin levels, which means we have low enough glucose or carbohydrate coming in. Here's a little quick trick you can use. The Designs for Health Glucose Supreme. Main ingredient is berberine. Quick science behind all of this. Muscle cells have insulin receptors. Fat cells also have insulin receptors. Which one is more sensitive and which one is more resistant is going to dictate whether those glucose gets burned as energy or does it end up getting stored as fat. Most people in our society now are insulin resistant. That's a term you may have heard of. It simply means that the muscles are full of stored glucose or stored carbohydrate. There's no more room to pack more stuff into that closet, okay? So, I'm going to give you my quick 3-point formula here to restore your insulin sensitivity so you can go back to burning fat for fuel the way we're designed to do. First of all, strength training or weight training. Doesn't make sense to a whole lot of people to lift weight to lose weight, but what happens is you increase the storage capacity. You get a bigger closet, we'll say, or you get a bigger storage unit. Let's say right now you've got a kind of a smallish amount of muscle mass because you don't train with weights. If you start doing some resistance training, you start doing some leg presses or squats, you start doing some overhead presses for shoulders, some bicep curls and that sort of stuff, you build more muscle tissue. That is more room for glucose to go into. That's like upgrading from a 5x10 storage unit to a 10x20 storage unit. Now you got extra space for all your junk to pack it away, okay? It's my little analogy. Do that first. Now, the activity that you're doing, the lifting of the weight, that is actually using glucose as an energy source as well. So that's going to cut down on some of what you've got circulating in the bloodstream. Also, walking is the number one exercise you can do to bring your blood sugar down and to help correct any imbalances that you have in body composition, excess body fat, etc. Walk more. Just move more during the day. If you want to take it an extra step and do like 30 minutes first thing in the morning on a treadmill or a bicycle or an elliptical or something like that, it's what we call cardio. Does not have to be high intensity whatsoever. Casual walking pace. Keep your heart rate where you can have a conversation with someone. You're not sweating profusely or gasping for air. We want to stay out of that sugar burning zone. That's going to allow you to burn more fat for fuel while you're doing the activity. So forget about all this no pain, no gain nonsense. It's more like slow and low is the way to go. Okay, so just remember that. Next thing you can do is reduce the amount of glucose or carbohydrate you got coming in your diet. I mentioned earlier, standard American diet has been built around carbs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks around the clock. Fortunately, our dietary guidelines have just changed to lower carbohydrate recommendation, which I think is awesome. People are now being advised to reduce the amount of grains that they're consuming and to limit those to whole grains, which I also think is amazing. We should see major resolution of symptoms for a lot of people just by making that one shift, by eating more protein and fewer carbohydrates. That's going to help you to have better appetite control and, like I said, lower your blood sugar and lower the chance that you're storing body fat and allow you to have a chance to burn up some of your stored body fat. So that's your 3 points. Reduce what you got coming in, build a little more storage space, and use up some of what's already there. Throw on some Glucose Supreme. If you are doing a low carbohydrate or ketogenic approach, 25 grams of carbs or less per day, like I recommend, you're going to want to take 1 capsule. It's that powerful. If you take a handful of these and you're not eating carbohydrates, you're going to crash your blood sugar and you're going to feel like garbage. Don't do it. 1 capsule at night is enough to work behind the scenes, improve your insulin sensitivity, and your fasted glucose is going to go down, down, down over weeks and months. Eventually, your A1C gets to where it needs to be. That's a 3-month snapshot of your glucose levels. Get that in range. You can come off of medications. I've seen people do it before. I've helped people to do it before. If you want to do that, click on the link, give me a thumbs up, comment, message me privately. I'll get you on the fast track and we'll help you out in that respect. Now, you know the Reshape diet is a cyclical ketogenic diet, which means there's some carbs, okay? So you're only keeping that low carbohydrate 5 days a week. The other 2 days, you got 1 or 2 meals that are carb meals. So that's where you want your bread or pasta or cereal or whatever, pizza, ice cream, chips, whatever, all of the above. You're going to put them in that window. As one of my clients likes to say, it's a window. It's not a garage door. Okay, it's just a small opening there. But the point is, you can incorporate all of your favorite foods on a weekly basis. That's what I do. I don't recommend anyone try to have a pristine, 100% perfect diet. We're not perfect. You don't have to be. You can fit that stuff in. Now, if you're eating upwards of 40 to 80 grams of carbohydrates, you can take a full dose of this right along with it, and it's going to shuttle that glucose or carbohydrate right into the muscle cell. And that's going to power your workouts for the coming week. It's news to a lot of people. We don't need carbs for energy. We don't need carbs right before a workout or even on a daily basis. We can store enough glucose or carbohydrate in the form of glycogen in the muscle to power a week's worth of training in 1 or 2 carb meals per week. Okay, that's more like our standard pattern that humans would do in a more primitive state. We go along eating some lean protein and vegetation for 5 or 6 days, and then every week or so, maybe we stumble on some honey or some fruit or dig up a tuber or something like that, refill the muscle cells, and go again for another 6 or 7 days. So we're wired to do that from a hereditary perspective. It's not crazy and unusual. What is crazy and unusual is having glucose or carbohydrate available for 5 or 6 meals and snacks every day. Like I said, that's only been the past 50 years, and we've seen some horrific things happen as a result of that. So get the diet in check, get your training. If you need an exact program to follow, I've got you. Memberships are available. It's not a huge investment of time or money. And that's all I've got to talk about today. Like I said, this was a little preview. I do have a few other products up here. I'm just going to leave those on the back burner for now. We will talk about that next time we get together. I appreciate anyone who joined in live, and I'm looking forward to doing a few more of these in the future. Until next time, stay strong and enjoy the journey.